Hi guys, what's going on? How are you? First, let me apologize for not being up since, I don't know, since it's been forever since I've last recorded any videos, but due to a lot of circumstances in the past weeks and since my last visit to Ukraine, I felt pretty devastated by the continuous news that is coming out of Ukraine and the way this war initiated by Putin somehow in Europe impacting on the world's economy and the day-to-day necessities of regular people all over the world. You know, talking about energy, food crisis, shortages of security, and increasing talks about defenses, joining Nato, and out of Finland, of course. We've been, leading the headlines all over the world since Finland is now deciding to join Nato along with Sweden. And since we in Finland share some like 1,200 kilometers with the neighboring Russia, so this is causing a lot of news around the world. So today I'd like to really speak about probably only three topics. One of them is of course because of what's going on in the world and the energy and the talks that is happening are taking place, whether here in Europe or in the other countries, about the dependency of the EU on Russian oil and gas. We all know that Russia has decided to cut gas on some European countries, Poland and Bulgaria, and some other countries decided to pay in ruble just to avoid lackage or shortages in gas and energy to keep maintaining their economy moving forward or sustainable. This kind of talks right now brings me to the subject we've talked about, or I personally reiterated tons of times during my visits to Syria, in Aleppo in particular, and especially in late 2014 when Russia started to be involved more concretely on the soils of Syria supporting Assad. And by Russia stepping into Syria with its mighty military power to support Assad from not collapsing, along with his allies Iran and the Shiite militias that has been supported and funded by Iran to bring from Iraq, Lebanon, and Yemen, and Afghanistan, and whatnot to Syria to fight alongside Assad. Russia decided in 2015 to step in, put boots on the grounds, and deploy its military power to suffocate the uprising against Assad, or the uprising for democracy, the operation for democratization of Syria, which has so far been installed or put on hold due to the involvement of Russia. We and I, along with tons of other activists, Syrian activists and also international activists, that has been talking about the Russian parts in Syria. I personally said numerous of times in news outlets and newspapers and TV interviews, and I've said it many, many times, try to highlight the point of the world must need to put a stop, or must find a way to combat Putin and stop him in Syria. Because we as Syrians at that time, we thought that the danger of this regime led by Vladimir Putin in Moscow, and we've said it, we've sent out tons of shouts to the world, we've echoed the screams of mothers and children in Syria for the world to act against Putin. And we've said, if you do not stop Putin inside Syria right now, if you do not support us in the fight against Putin, Putin will somehow find a way to bring this war to you in Europe and to the Western countries. That was pretty much unheard or unlistened. It wasn't really found the response we really would hoped for, unfortunately. And since we've sent out a lot of cries and a lot of shout outs to the world to act, we've said many times, we've given guidelines on how to act against Putin. You have to stop buying energy from Putin, or start finding alternatives, other options or other sources for you to maintain your economy flowing dependent on energy, gas or oil. Need to stop it, because if you stop funding Putin, Putin will think about how to fund his war in Syria. And the world did not react. And that was like 7 years ago, which is a lot of years. Just imagine, this is the thought what I've been having. Imagine Putin or the world, especially Europe, took that step really seriously. And they did actually started thinking back then, during the times when Putin was massacring Syrians. The Europeans started really taking concrete steps towards finding alternative energy sources. Imagine where we'll be right now. I believe within years of these times, by late 2020, the world, and especially the European Unions, would have already found different alternatives to make them stop buying oil and energy from Russia. And if that has been done, the war in Ukraine wouldn't really occur, because Putin is solely dependent on oil, and he knows pretty darn well that the world, and especially European Union, needs their oil. I'm talking about 1.5 billion a day. Europe is paying Putin every day for the energy he is supplying them with. That is like 45 billion euros a month. He can wage as many wars as he wants with this money. And since the regime is so goddamn corrupt, I don't believe that much of that money goes anywhere except funding for his ambitions to expand and create the mighty imperium he's been fantasizing about. Some people, that takes me to the other subject. Some people I've been talking to, have been really throwing some stuff at me, saying, hey, why don't you now, since Russia is so busy in Ukraine, why don't you just, you guys in Syria, take up arms and attack the Russians and whatnot in Syria, killing and fighting, since they don't have the mighty, army forces employed inside Syria and so on. I would say we are in Syria fighting against the Russians, and we are in Syria fighting against the Assad regimes, and we are still in Syria fighting against the presence of the Iranians and its militias all over the country. We are still fighting. The fighting has not stopped since 2011. And up to this day, we've fought all these people pretty much with bare hands. We've had no support militarily from anywhere except from some light arms coming in from some countries like Turkey. And light arms, you cannot win a war with light arms against a superpower like Russia. But we have not gone away. We're still here. And the Syrian people are still resisting, and they're still fighting, and we are still in control of 36 of the country's territories, in addition to 32% of what the Kurds are in control, which makes the Assad regime in control of about some 45% of the country. which is not much, less than half of the country under the control of the Assad regime, which is nothing for a country or a government to be bragging about. So we are still fighting, we are still resisting. But imagine this, if the Syrians would have gotten 5% of the arms and the army, the military support that they have got, that the Ukrainians got from the world, I swear you not, Syrians would have ended the war inside Syria, and they would have inflicted heavy damage on the Russian and the Assad regime. And we would have made them think twice on staying in Syria. Because we, with almost bare hands, we managed to maintain the war going on. And we managed to stay on the ground, not go anywhere. And we've managed to really, really hurt the Russian regime by bleeding its economy inside Syria. It's not cheap to wage a war inside Syria. It's costing Russians tens of millions of dollars every day to maintain the war inside Syria. And that did not come cheap, and it is somehow, some way, indirectly, directly, is causing a huge damage to the Russian infrastructure and also to the Russian regime. And so imagine, if only we've got 5% of the support that the Ukrainians got, we would have been in a different situation. We've probably been in a situation where we don't have to talk about the war inside Ukraine right now. We wouldn't have been discussing the energy supplies or substitutions to the energies provided by Russia. We would not have, I would not personally, been talking to you right now and telling you about my upcoming humanitarian trip to Ukraine. This time we'll be inside the country. Where exactly, I don't know, but I can't tell you, but I'll let you know in time. But it's definitely going to be in about 10 days time. I will be inside Ukraine delivering a truckload of aid, a lot of good food, a lot of hygienic materials, sanitary, and also a lot of dry food, and you know it, tons of toys will be distributed to the children, stocked in bunkers inside Lviv or Kiev or some other cities that is being targeted by the Russians. So I will be going with a friend of mine here in Finland, and we'll be driving a loaded truck of stuff and delivering that aid directly to the people who are in need. So I wish you all to pray for us and send your best wishes. Give us good vibes, and I look forward to answer. If there's any question, if you guys got, message me, DM message me, or direct messages to me. If you got my number, call me or send me a WhatsApp message. If you guys want to participate in the upcoming humanitarian trip to Ukraine, don't hesitate. I'll be more than happy to guide you through how to do that. Thank you guys for being patient. I thought I'm going to do a few minutes of talking. Just like always, there are tons of things to talk about. And here I am, just babbling things out. So, out of the peaceful country of Finland, soon to become NATO member, Finland is going to be a hot seat in the next future. And we got a lot of work to do. And if anything happened, God forbid, here in Finland, I'll be right on the front lines. I wasn't able to do that in my home country, Syria, because otherwise I would be designated as a terrorist. But right here, I'm going to be doing just that. I don't give a goddamn what people would think, but I will be here defending this beautiful country. Peace and out. Rami, Helsinki, Finland. Love you all.